Can I just take a 2-minute break, sorry? Is that okay?
That's fine. People to do the job. Cool. When people talk about equality and diversity, they talk about one bit of it. So they talk about you as somebody from a BAME background, and that might be important, but it's probably not sufficient because none of us are defined by one characteristic.
I can have many identities, be many different people, all in one, and that's okay. That's who we are.
There are so many assets to me that is so unique to any other person, and I sort of think that is what diversity is. It is about recognising the individual aspects that people bring and then creating an environment that allows them to feel that they can be themselves, that they can succeed and that they can thrive and grow wherever they are, be that at home, be that at work, be that in social settings.
I really believe it's all about understanding and taking time to understand the differences in people and realising that being different is actually good.
We talk about diversity as reflecting our uniqueness, and inclusion is about how we choose to embrace that. But the reality is it means different things to different people.
Diversity and inclusion, and what it means to me is, do I know everybody well enough?
D&I is incredibly important. I think from the moment I was 16, being told by a careers advisor that I shouldn't go into a legal profession because it's a white-dominated and a male-dominated profession.
If I think about what diversity and inclusion means to me, belonging is really at the heart of it. For me, it's around actually different people from different backgrounds being able to go into any environment and be their true, authentic selves and not have to hide elements of their background or hide where they've come from.
Just recognising that the way you answer a question, the way I answer a question, we're all different, but we're all human beings at the heart, and we should all be treated with the utmost respect.
I think there are two facets I would just pick up that really helps. It's how we engage with our colleagues. It's the way that it's not just about surveys, it's about team engagement, it's about individual engagement and making sure people behave and make choices that are right for individuals and not just the teams and not just the firm.
It needs to be part of the DNA of a business that people feel it and it feels real and authentic.
I think there's something we can work harder, and I think we can have fun and be really creative to start to crack this element of inclusion. And I say that because actually with the work we've been doing at Sony Music, we've been experimenting with really cool talent acquisition programs that are purposefully trying to reach people that we wouldn't have normally talked to maybe 5 years ago, and to bring them in.
Because we've got a really broad, ethnic, diverse workforce. How can we train and develop that pool of population to be the talent of the future, to give them the opportunity? That's got to be where it lies.
So it's so important not to group people into these mass categories and just simply say all black people experience life in this particular way, or all women experience life in a particular way, etc. It's really important that we take the time to listen.
Too many people are locked out, talent is locked out, and just a small group of people are locked in to this power dynamic. And they, when they're feeling generous, throws a few crumbs. It doesn't serve them, it doesn't serve us, it doesn't serve anyone. We've got to widen the pool, make sure that talent can flow in and out. And for me, it's a win.
it has to be an agenda for the whole business, right at the very top with the exec team. But it has to even be much bigger than that, because if you think about all the different facets that we have in the report that we talk about, all the 10 facets, you know, that in itself is so broad. To really make progress in those areas, you need hundreds of people understanding it, feeling passionate about it, and most importantly, wanting to do something about it.
It is really important for people who are growing up in any profession to see people like themselves in a place where they might see themselves in the future. Because when I was a younger manager, I didn't really think I could ever do the job I'm doing. Now that partly might be because I can't, but part of that was about who I was looking at, and I didn't see people like me.
Because for us at the FA, it is about creating that culture of inclusion, and we all often talk about, you know, you need to see it to be it, and actually people couldn't see that before.
Be kinder to yourself much sooner in life. There's a lot of pressure out there, there's a lot of pressure to conform, and I think again in the context of diversity, inclusion, you know, I probably wasn't me for a long time in the world of work, and my biggest piece of advice would be me sooner, or just be me and don't try and be different and conform.
Find diverse mentors, and mentors come in all forms, right? In all those facets you've talked about, they come in all those facets. And the reason we need mentors is because mentors share experiences and they guide you. And there is so much power in stories, and everybody has a story.
Never underestimate what others can help you do for yourself or can do for you. And I don't mean that in a sort of paternalistic way, but I have been helped through my career by some great colleagues, two in particular, Jim Mackey and Sue Page, who were the chief execs of the first trust I worked in. They never gave me a job, but they gave me opportunities and they took risks on me.
To do the things that make you feel really uncomfortable and afraid in some way, so really taking yourself out of your comfort zone, because I think that means, you know, if it feels that way, you're probably in the right place because you're growing in your career.
So if I could go back 30 years, and yeah, again, and yeah, I think it would be very much around be inquisitive, spend time to understand different cultures. I look at myself now, and I'm, you know, 53-year-old white male, and I sit and look at things that I don't understand now. And you know, I think so. I'd be saying, yeah, to myself, be really inquisitive. Spend time to understand, you know, why people have got different religious beliefs and what they actually mean.
It's really important to listen. It's really important to find your inner self and to understand where your central grounding comes from. And that it's really important that you just, you know, say well done every now and again. Because life's really hard, the challenges are really hard, and sometimes we can bring ourselves down with trying to do the best job we can ever do, and sometimes it really is good enough. You're good enough.
Particularly within a work environment or an organisation, I was constantly second guessing the value that I brought, constantly second guessing if people were judging me just because of the way I looked or who I was or my background. And what I would say is actually work hard and use that platform to really prove yourself. Be who you are.
I think I'd just turn around and congratulate myself for staying headstrong and being true to who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And that's just perhaps the message that I would want to give, is if you're passionate about something, if you want to do it, push for it. You'll get it. It might take time, but you will get it.
Taking all 10 of the facets of the report to say, how do we now use that in studio to really give us, you know, a conversation on each of those starting to develop. This is a journey we have started, but we're probably nearer the beginning than the end. We've done a lot of work around mental health. That's been probably an area we have addressed. We're starting up some forums around sexual orientation, ethnicity, religious beliefs, etc.
Some of the things that we're really focused on is how we can be best practice and market leading. And so, for example, our family care policies, which we introduced just over 18 months ago, they are global, and it affords anybody that starts a family, however they start a family, 6 months full pay. And then once they've finished that period, they also have a 4-week phased return on full pay, and that's really important to help the transition back into the office.
One of our plans right now as well is we know there's lots to do, but there's also we've got to hold our nerve as well with what we've already done and realise that the change and what we've got to do is not going to be achieved overnight. And so just because we're not seeing the big transformations yet, we've got to trust in that some of the steps that we've taken and as a result of this report is giving us the gusto and the energy to keep going with that as well. I think that's the piece that for me is really, really cool with this work, is it's giving us benchmarks, it's giving us inspiration, and it's giving us kind of focus to keep going. And so steps that we've taken and will continue to take and evolve for me are around things that we put in place around education. You know, it's things that, again, it's like, just because we've not seen the biggest shift doesn't mean that those pieces of work we've done over the years aren't the right things to do. We've just got to hold our nerve. So helping people understand all these different facets, but doing it in a way that people are having dialogue about it. It's not about just tell and walk out of a room anymore. And so that's one of the steps that we started, will continue to evolve, is creating a lot of connection in Sony Music around understanding education, but then also getting people to connect globally on different facets again.
So we've been on a journey since we started publishing our data back in 2014 and 2016, and we're really proud of how we've evolved, not because we hold ourselves accountable to the external world by publishing data, but also setting targets. And I think a lot of our activity is centred around 4 big pillars: leadership and culture, recruitment, retention and engagement, and then progression. And we have initiatives and interventions to be able to knit these things together so that we can ensure that people get the support through their careers. And that's all centred around accountability, inclusive leadership and equal opportunity. So I'm really proud of how far we've evolved, and we've got some ways to go, and it's all about speed now.
When I think about what do we want to see in the future of diversity and belonging and all that together, it is a society that is at ease with itself, with its history, good, bad and ugly, with its present, this journey of learning, of laying bare uncomfortable truths, seeing all the talent, and then going forward, in which we are creating pathways of potential talent that can flow, that look like you, that look like me, that look like your team, that reflect our multicultural society. We as a nation become a beacon of flourishing diversity, at ease with itself, being creative, being dynamic.
We've recently published a code of governance for county FAs dealing with anti-discrimination policies. And then we're looking at the women's game and how we can make that more accessible. You know, women's football is increasing in popularity massively, and more women and girls want to be involved in football. So we really are keen to make sure that it's truly accessible to women and girls, and in fact everybody that wants to play football. So that's a real main driving factor for us at the moment.
The NHS has taken many steps towards improving race equality in the service, but we've still got an incredibly long way to go.
I think from a Britvic and a personal point of view, we have made some great progress. So if we look from a gender point of view at our senior leaders, for example, 18 months ago we had 33% of our leadership population were female. We're now at 40%. You know, our employees say that, you know, over 95% of them feel as if they can belong at Britvic. So it would be easy to start saying, you know, we're in a really good place, you know, there are things we're proud of, but I actually look and say, we've not yet made enough progress when it comes to even more diversity of our leadership team. So in terms of ethnicity, for example, we've not yet made enough progress in terms of disability, for example. So for me, it's now about really setting a high bar across all the facets and saying, actually, what do we need to do to be, I think, bolder and more courageous?